Welcome back, dear listeners, to the ever-intensifying hunt in Bram Stoker's Dracula. After the solemn formation of our fellowship and the sharing of all records, we now reach Chapter 18, Dr. Seward's Diary Continued. This is a chapter of bold action and chilling discovery. Today, our small band of hunters took its first direct offensive against the enemy. We entered the very lair of Count Dracula, the old decaying estate of Carfax, and what we found there confirmed our worst fears while giving us our first real weapon in this war against the undead. Let us walk step by step with the hunters as knowledge turns into dangerous confrontation and the battle moves from theory to reality. 30 September. I begin this entry with a mind sharpened by purpose, yet shadowed by the horrors we have witnessed. This morning the entire fellowship gathered once more in my study at the lunatic asylum. Mina Harker had worked through much of the night. With her usual quiet efficiency and remarkable intelligence, she had prepared fresh typewritten copies of all our documents and added a clear memorandum outlining possible next steps. Her calm presence and practical mind are becoming indispensable to our cause. We reviewed our position. We now possess a complete picture. Jonathan's terrifying experiences in Transylvania, the arrival of the Demeter, Lucy's tragic transformation and destruction, and Van Helsing's profound knowledge of the vampire's nature and limitations. The time for discussion was over. We decided to strike the first blow by searching Carfax, the ancient house and chapel near Purfleet that Jonathan Harker had helped the Count purchase. Jonathan provided detailed plans and descriptions, warning us that the property is surrounded by high walls, long neglected and filled with an atmosphere of decay. Mina wished to accompany us, but we insisted she remain behind under careful protection. Though she accepted this with grace, I could see the frustration in her eyes. She longs to contribute actively to the fight. We set out in the late afternoon. Professor Van Helsing, Lord Godalming, Arthur, Quincy P. Morris, Jonathan Harker, and myself. As the sun began to sink, we approached the grim estate. Carfax loomed before us like a sleeping beast. Ivy-choked walls, broken windows, and an old chapel attached to the main house that seemed to breathe malevolence. Using the keys Jonathan had retained from the original transaction, we entered the main house. The air was thick with dust and the sickly sweet stench of earth and corruption. We moved cautiously through empty cobwebbed rooms. Nothing of immediate note appeared until we forced open the heavy iron-bound door leading into the ancient chapel. What we saw stopped us cold. Dozens of great wooden boxes, oblong chests filled with dark, rich Transylvanian earth were scattered and stacked throughout the vaulted space. Many had already been opened, their lids pried off, the sacred soil exposed to the air. These were the 50 boxes shipped from Varna aboard the Demeter. The Count had clearly been using Carfax as one of his primary daytime resting places, moving between the boxes as needed. Van Helsing's face became stone-like with determination. He explained once more the critical importance of these boxes. The vampire must rest in native soil during the hours of daylight. Without it, his powers weaken dramatically. If we can render every box useless to him, we strip away his strength and force him into the open. He produced a small box containing communion wafers, sacred bread consecrated by the church. With solemn ritual, he began crumbling fragments into each box of earth, pressing the holy pieces deep into the soil while reciting prayers in Latin. The rest of us worked alongside him, moving heavy boxes, opening lids, and searching every dark corner of the chapel and adjacent rooms.
The labor was exhausting and deeply unnerving. Rats scurried in the shadows, their eyes gleaming red in the lantern light. At times we felt an invisible presence watching us, a cold, malignant intelligence that made the hair on our necks rise. Jonathan suddenly clutched at his throat and cried out that he had glimpsed a tall, dark figure with burning eyes observing us from the deepest shadows. Whether it was the Count himself or one of his animal servants, we could not be certain. As full darkness descended, the atmosphere grew heavier. An oppressive weight settled upon us all. Van Helsing urged us to work faster, warning that the vampire's power increases with the night and that we must finish before he could fully manifest or summon greater forces against us. We succeeded in treating a substantial number of the boxes before the growing sense of danger forced us to withdraw. As we left Carfax and locked the gates behind us, Van Helsing turned to the group with grim satisfaction. "Well done, my friends. We have struck the first real blow against him. Many of his sanctuaries are now poisoned to him. He will feel this loss keenly. But we must find the remaining boxes. Some have already been moved to other locations across London. The hunt continues, and it will grow more dangerous." Later that night, my private reflections. I sit now in the quiet of my study, the others resting after the day's exertions. The events at Carfax have left an indelible mark on every one of us. Jonathan showed remarkable courage, returning to a place tied so closely to his past trauma. Arthur and Quincy worked with steady, unflinching determination. Van Helsing moved among the boxes like a priest performing a solemn exorcism, his every action filled with sacred purpose. Yet none of us could shake the feeling that the Count was aware of our presence. The rats, the oppressive atmosphere, the fleeting shadow with red eyes, these were warnings. The enemy knows we are coming for him. Upon our return, Mina greeted us with calm concern and deep interest. She has already begun typing a full account of today's expedition into our growing record. Her questions were sharp and practical. She suggested we immediately begin tracing the movement of the remaining boxes through shipping companies, property deeds, and public records. Van Helsing praised her highly, saying, "Madam Mina, you are one of us now. Your mind is as sharp as any man's here, and your heart remains pure. In this fight against the undead, such qualities are weapons as powerful as any stake or crucifix." We have resolved that tomorrow we will divide our forces. Some will continue the search for the scattered boxes, while others ensure the safety of Mina and Jonathan. We must also begin planning how to force the Count into the open, where we can confront him directly. I end this entry with a mixture of hard-won hope and renewed dread.
We have taken the offensive. The Count has lost many of his daytime sanctuaries today, but he is ancient, cunning, and powerful. He will not yield easily. The real battle is only beginning. God grant us strength, wisdom, and courage in the dangerous days and nights that lie ahead. That was Chapter 18 of Dracula, a chapter of first confrontation and decisive action in the war against the vampire. Through Dr. Seward's diary, we experienced the tense exploration of Carfax, the shocking discovery of the earth-filled boxes, the ritual sterilization with sacred wafers, and the first direct sense of Count Dracula's malevolent, watchful presence. Bram Stoker masterfully builds suspense as the hunters move from planning and discussion to active, dangerous fieldwork. We see the practical application of Van Helsing's ancient knowledge and the growing importance of Mina's modern skills and clear thinking. The Fellowship is no longer merely talking about the threat. They are striking real blows against it. Yet the enemy is awakening. The Count has felt our hand, and he will not remain passive. Stay with us for Chapter 19, where the search for the remaining boxes intensifies, new dangers emerge, and the Count begins to reveal more of his cunning and power. Thank you for venturing with Dr. Seward and the hunters into the shadowed halls of Carfax. If this chapter raised your pulse with tension or filled you with a sense of daring resolve, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another entry from these journals of courage against ancient evil. The first blow has been struck. The Count has felt its sting. Until next time, walk carefully in old forgotten houses after dark. Some shadows have teeth, and some earth holds more than dust.